Let's move over to the United States. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order imposing a 25% tariff on Canadian and Mexican imports to the US. Now, he's done this by declaring a national emergency for the, quote, extraordinary threat posed by illegal aliens and drugs, including fentanyl. China's also got a 10% tariff on it. Now, experts say that Australia is unlikely to be hit by any Trump-sanctioned tariffs because of an ongoing trade imbalance. That's fine. But what does this mean more broadly, Ross, for the economic state of the world? Even if we don't have to directly pay these tariffs on stuff that we send over there, we're still buying products that other people are sending into America, and someone ultimately has to pay along the line. So do we actually end up paying here for the tariffs that are whacked on, say, Canada or China?
Well, maybe, but if you think about it, this never ends well. As soon as you start to get trade wars, you get the prices going up. You get inflation. What happens? Interest rates go up. And so as a result, now they're toning back the number of interest rate cuts that they'll see in America because of these tariffs that Trump will impose. Now, if you think effectively, this actually puts up the price of goods, especially from China. So we're talking electrical goods, we're talking some cars. It's especially about trying to get cars manufactured in America, and electric cars in particular. So the idea is to try and bring those factories. Now, if all of a sudden those factories in China are not really selling as many cars or as many televisions or as many fridges to the United States, they're still making the fridges and the cars and the things, right? So they look around the world and go, where can we put these things? Where can we dump these things? Prices, therefore, potentially could even get cheaper here for a period of time. But eventually, then all this keeps on going around because lobby groups will turn up in Washington to Donald Trump's door, like the farmers. The American beef farmers will go to Donald Trump and say, we need to be protected. Who do they need to be protected against? Australian farmers. And so really, in some cases, Australia will feel the pinch of this. In the past, because of our relationship, particularly the military relationships, Joe Hockey did brilliantly on this. Australia missed tariffs on steel in the past when Trump was in power previously. But there's no guarantee that we'll miss it this time. There's a second factor is more Australian companies are leaving Australia and going to the United States to set up. They're leaving Australia, their capital's leaving, the jobs are leaving because...
Why wouldn't you?
The taxes are less, the energy bills are less, the wages are less, and his taxes are less. And you're protected by these tariffs. So that's one of the other aspects of this for Australia, is a lot of Australian industry will pick itself up and leave the country. And that is not good for this country.
Can I ask you a financial question? Sorry, Caleb.
Oh, right.
Sorry, you said, could Australia do something similar to protect ourselves as well? Or do we not have the infrastructure because we've sent it overseas?
That would be really silly for us to do that. And the reason for it is because when the dollar went to $1.10, most of our manufacturing left. And so the problem
So we're idiots, basically, who run this country.
That's right, yeah, because... and also, we had that almost 15 years of very low interest rates because we bought all those goods in from China. The cheap goods kept our inflation down, and that could happen in the future. So, but this is all about, again, what is Australia good at and what do we want? And do we really want the government putting $1 billion into solar panels? We're nuts doing that because China makes great solar panels, so bring them in.
And from a small business perspective, which is what you deal with every day, Amanda, if you were in America right now, would you be cheering this?
Well, it depends on what industry you're in. But I know for Australian business, and I actually took a delegation over to the US under the last Trump administration to grow their business over there, and they were falling over themselves with the opportunity that they had over there. So, the electricity prices were cheaper. They cut red tape. They incentivise you to go over there. And now they've actually had a government that for 3 years has literally pretty much suffocated the small business community, legislated them out of their own businesses, and hindered entrepreneurs and innovation. So, of course, they're going to leave if there's an opportunity to go to the US. So I encourage any business that wants to leave or grow into the United States, if that works for them, do it and look at that as an opportunity. But our government needs to protect the interests of the IP and the smarts that we have in this country, because it's not just this government, but previous governments that haven't supported our entrepreneurs and our small businesses enough for them to be able to grow and thrive in this country. They've all had to just leave. So I think it's positive in a lot of ways for people here, and overseas, it depends on what industry.